Alright guys, so here we're going to be combining the two things we learned in the previous lesson to make like one big sign. Okay, so first I just want to make it clear. You do not need to make your sign look exactly like mine. Right? Mine is very simple. If you want to add more to it, that's totally okay. If you want to make something simple, right? As I mentioned before, sometimes simple is better. It's up to you, right? But I've essentially already done the part where like you guys already know how to put in block text, right? You guys already know how to draw a symbol, so I've already done that, right? Um, if you want to make this a little bit more complex, one thing you can do is try to make this idea of contrast, right? Making things bold. That doesn't mean just making them dark and large, right? You can actually flip. You can actually use the difference between white and black in this case to make certain parts stand out, right? So I'm actually going to make the background black, um, and in order to make sure that you can still see this fist, I'm going to create an outline around the fist, and I'm gonna make sure that I leave that in white. Okay, so here is that outline, and I want to make the text white as well, right? I want to make black the predominant color here. So I have my black marker here. You can choose a different color if you want. Make sure that it helps with whatever message you're trying to send. I think black is the simplest, but if you don't have a black marker, you can also use your pencil and just shade it in. Okay, so I'm gonna work around the fist first, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so the reason I'm going with the background first is because that is the largest area, and I like to knock that out first. So this is going to take quite a while for me to actually finish. So I'm going to be talking through what I'm thinking. Okay, so with these letters, when you're going around these letters, I want to make them white. So I'm just going to not fill in anything on the inside of these letters and only fill in the area around the letters. So look at this M specifically, right? Most of the time you guys are writing in the letters on your own or filling them in and making them the positive space, right? But here I'm going to be filling everything around it so that it's white. And now you can actually see that M, right? I'm going to ignore all of the little things that I need to erase on the inside later. I'm just making sure that I get the important parts first. So my biggest fear right now is actually that I'm going to run out of ink on this marker. And if that happens, then I'm going to have to take another one out. Hopefully I have another one. So yeah, that's probably something you want to consider as well, right? Like, do you have the material to, if you're going to be doing this, do you have the material to actually cover the entire paper? Okay. Some of you guys might be thinking, okay, I want to make the Black Lives Matter text go over the entire thing, right? And that's very possible. It's just a matter of figuring out how to balance the amount of space that is taken up from the image and the amount of space taken up from the text. And in this case, I wanted to really not think about that as much, so I just wanted to make sure everything was kind of the same size in terms of how much space they're taking on the paper. Okay, so everything that normally would have been black, I'm now leaving white for the letters. Okay, now for the fist itself, let me finish these letters here. I know I'm jumping back and forth between the different parts of the sign here. But for the fist itself, since I made this line around it, if I just color in the fist like I normally would, right? like so. Then if I just color in the fist like I normally do, it won't end up blending into the background. Um, it won't end up blending into the background, which is a good thing. It'll keep it visible, right? It's all about visibility when it comes to signs. So I also want to mention, I don't really have very many small words, and I know I mentioned that, like, we don't really want to use small words. However, I do want to note that if I wanted to add something small, like a little message on the inside, I definitely could, right? Not all signs are seen from far away, and sometimes people are close enough to your sign where they can read what's on it, right? Even if it's really small. And sometimes having those small things makes people want to get closer to it and spend more time like examining it, which ultimately is a good thing. But it's not a requirement for a sign. And if anything, not having a big part to your sign, not having big words is having big words is more important than having small words for the reasons I mentioned in the last few lessons. Okay, so I'm just finishing up the fist here. Trying to go through this as quickly as possible so you don't have to watch me doing this for more than necessary. Okay, so remembering that I need to leave the marks or the white areas, right, to distinguish the different features and structures of this fist. Okay. Oof, feels like my marker might be running out of ink, so I might have to switch to a different one. Oof. It's okay. Hopefully we don't run out. But in the chance that we do, I'll have to pull another one. Okay, so you guys kind of get the gist, right? To make this white, I color everything else black to make sure that this black fist stays black, right? Because I can't make this black fist white or else it'll change the meaning, right? I drew a white outline around it so that it still stands out. I'm going to switch out my marker and we're going to skip to the part where I'm done, and then I'll talk about it a little more. All right, and there you go. This is my completed sign, right? Notice the contrast that I created through the black background and the white font, right? Instead of the normal black font with the white background, right? The fist ends up standing out more because of this white line around it. The white text stands out more because of this black background. Overall, that was my goal, right? The goal is to make your sign stand out, and that's why I approached it that way. Again, if you guys don't have markers, that's okay. You can just take a pencil. It's just going to take a little bit longer. It's going to take a lot of sharpening as well. Yeah, so try it out. See if that works for you. If it doesn't, it's okay. You can scrap it and then just fill in the letters black. It's kind of something that's a very stylistic thing, and as I mentioned before, the style of it is not as concrete. So feel free to take some liberties.